Yay! We will move on. Of course, this is the recreation in service. And a lot of the focus I wanted to do this year is concentrating on kind of why this is important. When I can honestly say when I started out working at CCI, there's a lot of this I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. And hopefully we can kind of look through some stuff here and maybe we all can understand it a little bit more. There's a lot of emphasis given on recreation in our industry, but a lot of it we always kind of wonder, well, some of us we wonder why. Where does that emphasis come from? Why is that such a big deal? I especially didn't quite understand because I was coming from the world of public education. I was a band director for a few years, and in the public education world, the crossover might be extracurriculars. Of course, our noses are kind of, or some people's noses are kind of looked down on extracurriculars. I was a band director, so I kind of fell into that category a little bit. Everybody goes, well, you don't teach anything important, you're just teaching band. Yeah, great, you tried. Cookie. And they just didn't realize the importance of it. They didn't understand all the different things that you can learn from learning music and all that kind of stuff. Well, the same thing kind of happens here. A lot of people don't understand why recreation holds such a big position, at least according to the state, at least according to certain standards. Quick question back?
No, the question,
Or,
what did you say your name was?
oh, I'm sorry. My name is Sean Talbot.
Sean Talbot.
For those of you who know me, my name is still Sean Talbot. I haven't changed it yet. And ultimately, it's kind of why are we here today? Now, the short and simple answer some people might say on why we're here today is because the state says we have to. Part of the state requirements of our organizations is that we have a recreation in service. But you can't just stop there. There's got to be a reason that the state asks us to do this. So we're going to explore that a little bit here. First, some people would go, is it safety? A lot of our in-services are about safety. We learn about the proper ways of taking medications, where we learn about, the proper cooking methods and how to keep things sanitary. We learn about, Dave does his lockout, takeout thing. A lot of our in-services are about safety. And there is a safety component here. As with all things, we want to ensure the safety of our individuals. We have to take in consideration, as I wrote down here, heat, cold, tornado watches and warnings, blizzards, ice, all the fun things that Iowa kind of throws at us. And even in our handy-dandy little handbook here, I got a little copy handbook. This should be kind of a well, duh. Do not horseplay with the individuals. You would think that should be a kind of a, gee, we'll figure that one. But if it wasn't in there, there's a reason it's not in there, because occasionally that can be a problem for some staff. So don't horseplay with the individuals. We want to ensure the safety of all individuals. We do have even an outings policy that addresses this. Community Care will cancel community outings during inclement weather to ensure the safety of individuals. We will provide alternative activities if one of the following conditions apply. The wind chill factor is 20 or more below zero. It does happen. If you're recent, new to Iowa, it does get there. Most of us have lived here most of our lives, and so we all know it does get there. Roads are snow, ice covered, or there are advisories not to travel. Severe heat, humidity, air pollution. I don't think we've ever called it off for air pollution. But in case there's air pollution. Conditions are deemed unsafe for individuals with high-risk medical conditions. This can be, it's not necessarily air pollution, but you know, there are times that it kind of goes along with the whole heat thing. We have individuals that are very sensitive to heat and high sunlight, and you have to be kind of careful. They burn very easily as part of the medications they're taking, can make them more susceptible to sunburns. So that's one of the things we have to watch out for. Severe wind conditions, dense fog. Weather Service has issued a tornado warning or watch. If there is a watch, basically the guidelines are that we can go within about 2 miles of facility. Otherwise, they're in Charlotte, we can basically go down to the town of Charlotte, and that's about it. If there is a warning, we don't go nowhere. We stay home. Is the reason we're here for standards and paperwork. And yeah, I guess there's some of a component there. There on all of our RCF units in the various buildings, according to the state, we have to have a part of their care plan. Every individual has to have a recreation program in their care plan. This is not as true for PMI units. It's encouraged to be part of their care plan, but it's not required to be part of their care plan. State also mandates 45 minutes per licensed bed per week for RCF units and PMI units. And of course, we have to have some kind of the great thing about the state here is that they always have a tendency of telling you, okay, we got to do this stuff, but they don't really tell you how to document it, how they want you to have it documented. So it's always kind of fun when DIA comes in, we go, okay, well here it is, and you just kind of pray it's what they want. And they were okay with it the last time we had our inspections. So. But as I said, the state does have these standards. It does mandate it. But why? And it could be somewhat for advocacy. We could be here today for advocacy. What are we advocating for? So have a job. No. That's not what we're advocating for. So we could look politically correct for the state. No, not really. That's not totally what it is. So we can pat ourselves on the back and tell people that we care. So it's got to be quality of life. And that's really what the whole ball game is about. It's quality of life. Now that's a kind of a broad topic of what we're talking about, and really we got to start asking ourselves, well, what does quality of life mean? What is when you think of quality of life, what does that mean? Anybody got off the top of your head, an idea of what that means to you? It's going to be different for every person, so I don't think there is a wrong answer, although we could prove that today. But, anybody got ideas? Okay, there you go.
Anything that's close to normal.
Okay, normalization.
Activities,
Okay,
breathing, anything that's just normally.
okay. Especially when we're dealing with folks that are institutionalized. Getting them somewhere close back to normalization is very, very important. And this is also somewhat tied to kind of the whole idea of what is the meaning of life for individuals. Now that gets pretty philosophical, and we're not going to totally hash out all the possibilities. We could be here for hours and days talking about those types of issues. A little bit of history about how people with mental illness have been treated in our society and in other societies. The old idea, some of us probably have heard the idea of ship of fools. Well, one at one time in our history, granted it was a long time ago, they would actually put everybody that they deemed as mentally ill onto a ship and send them away. Because they didn't want to deal with them anymore. Because that was their version of how to separate them from society. And, you know, before modern medicine, before modern medicine, a lot of our treatments for physical illness were rather appalling. You know, uses of leeches and things of that nature, bloodletting. There was a time that with depression, one of the ideas that how to get people out of depression was that they would warm them up and then they would dunk them into freezing water. Now, I don't think that would help depression very much, but it'd probably piss them off a lot, yes. To be perfectly honest, I don't think it's a very effective treatment, though. Of course, in our own country, we're getting closer to our own time period. We had the institutionalization movement, where we had all kinds of different mental institutions out there. If any of you have been up to MHI Independence, that's quite a campus. It's huge. Probably at one time housed, I can't even imagine, a couple of thousand, probably easily. A couple of thousand people lived there. And then we had deinstitutionalization. People came to the realization that these big institutions were not good. They had a lot of problems. If any of you saw the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, actually that brought a lot of public attention to institutions and the conditions, pretty much just warehousing people. And there was an idea out there that if we just took them out of the institutions and took them out of all the anxiety that an institution will create, then they will be better. They will be fine. You know, the real problem was the anxiety caused by the institution, but that turned out to be not so good, or didn't. They were a little bit wrong on that one. And as we had, it was great they closed down a lot of institutions, but we had ended up with a whole bunch of homeless people, and we had a lot of people out on the streets that didn't know how to handle life out in society. And you know, one of the things that you don't find too much is this idea of reinstitutionalization, but it's closer to what we are doing now, more of in places like over in Charlotte and stuff, where we're trying to find a happy medium between the problems that they had in the old institutions, but trying to make it more humane, trying to make it more normal than what we had in the past. I want to kind of, for a second, to help us with this whole idea of quality of life, is to paint a kind of a picture. Now, a lot of this isn't going to come to as a surprise for a lot of you. In fact, we work there, so I mean, but for a little while, I want you to kind of consider the world of our individuals, the world they live in. Now, I realize some of the first part of this, I've got facility life. If you're working out in the homes, this is going to be a little bit of a different world than what you're working in on a day-to-day basis, but you can probably fill in the blank on this section yourself as far as what their life is and their circumstances. In facility life, there's a minimum of privacy. There's not a lot of locks on doors. You know, there's locks on the bathrooms, but a lot of times, even if you want to go into your own room, you got a roommate there, and the most privacy you got is a privacy curtain. So I mean, that's not ideal. Others create structure for you. For a lot of people, it creates a feeling of powerlessness. Living with others with mental illness. It's hard enough that you're dealing with your own mental illness. You're having to deal with other people's as well. And there there's a variety, there's a fair amount of chaos that can ensue in that. No matter what well-intentioned staff can do, that still can be difficult. There's peer pressure involved. There's with a variety, a lot of people who are looking for a lot of different things. I know when I've taught classes out there that a lot of them, they talk heavily about peer pressure. There's peer pressure to smoke. There's peer pressure to give other people your money. There's peer pressure to do all kinds of stuff. You don't, I mean, we're lucky we get to go home, we have our own bathroom. Here we know, but there we have 3 big community bathrooms, and then they have their own bathroom that they share with 3 other people. And as kind of Brett mentioned before, we're living with 3 other people with mental illness. They're not always the cleanest, and so you gotta have, you're having to struggle a lot there. I know a lot of individuals that get very upset because, you know, they've been cleaning the bathrooms like they're supposed to, part of their chores, but other people don't. Left with messes and all kinds of stuff. Community laundry machines. Yeah. It's great when they're working, but you know, even when they are working, it's limited, and so we have to kind of line up for our own laundry. Luckily for us, if you don't have your own laundry machine, you can go down to the laundromat. And granted, it costs money, but sometimes, you know, going down the laundromat and being able to do it all and, you know, take up 3-4 machines because they've got 100. It's a nice thing we've got. Food choices. Now, I must say our cooks do a fine job at trying to provide different choices, but at the same time, that's set by other people. They don't get a lot of their own food choices. Money choices. They're kind of they have a lot, not a whole lot of money, and then they don't have a whole lot of choices with the money they got. There's always problems with you know, you get close to a staff member and suddenly they don't leave. You know, so there's changing staff, changing residents. Recently, I've somebody that I work with, one of the individuals was having a really hard time because she had one really good friend. Well, really good friend's moving out. She had a real hard time coming to terms with that. And there's when you get into a whole group of 45, 30 people living together, you're going to have sometimes race and cultural clashes. Religion options are kind of minimized a little bit. They are there, but it's not as easy as it is for us to either decide that, you know, there's one in particular you want to go to, and you can just walk down there or take your car. They don't have a whole lot of personal possessions. Of course, they're living in the rooms they're living in are fairly small. You can't have a whole lot of personal possessions. And so, you know, they're kind of, you know, while we own our own TV, couch, you know, we have our own bathroom with all of our own stuff in it. We have a living room with our own stuff in it. We have a kitchen with our own stuff in it. A lot of our people do not have that stuff. And there's still kind of a feeling of institutionalization. You know, it's hard to get around. And of course, there's always, again, this goes along with living with a lot of people. You're going to have gossip and drama and people with anger management issues. And, you know, I came in the other day and one guy kind of goes and mentions another individual and said, "Oh, she started early this morning." And I'm going, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah, I woke up to, ah!" Great. Not. He's like, "I didn't want to wake up to that." And I'm like, "Well, I don't necessarily blame you there." Then you got that's all kind of the facility side of this, and you got the you know, what it's like to live with mental illness. It's hard. It is kind of hard to imagine, but you know, there's all kinds of different symptoms that people have. A lot of them have delusions and hallucinations. They hear things, see things, think things. obsessions. You know, we've had folks that they have so much problems with obsessions that the obsessions themselves become anger management issues. We had an individual for quite a while that his obsessions were outings, and everything was tied to outings. He ate, slept, dreamed. Everything was about outings, and it was. And then when it was over, there was a big vacuum there. There was, everything that he'd been obsessing with, suddenly was over, and he didn't know what to obsess about then. And then he always became angry and always had problems after that point. Feelings of abandonment, certain illnesses create almost irrational feelings of abandonment. Isolation, panic, and anxiety all kind of come along with depression, sometimes with panic and anxiety. We see that with a lot of our panic disorders over there. Depression. If you've ever lived through depression, you know it's not fun. It's not a good thing. Forever thirst. We have folks that they have a condition called polydipsia, that they are always thirsty. There is never enough water. They are always going to seek liquids. They will seek it so much that they can start having seizures, and it can get so bad they can die. So we're always in a constant struggle to try to stave off that a little bit. So try to keep them out of the liquids. But just think for a second. You got people telling you don't drink water, but you're thirsty. You want to drink water. That would not be any kind of a pleasant experience. Can't concentrate and focus. That goes along with some of the ADHD and ADD things that we see. One kid we've got right now, he'll actually verbally say, "Okay, I need to stop now," because he has a hard time. He knows he has a hard time focusing. He has a hard time with that. And then the paranoia. Then there's the stigma that goes along with mental illness. The whole idea of people thinking you're crazy. Wasn't last night when I was there, I was at the drive-in 61 last night, so if I fall asleep, wake me up. I was there quite late. But I was at the drive-in one time, and somebody turned to me and was looking around and says, "You suppose everybody here knows where we're from?" And I kind of looked, I'm like, "No, I don't have a CCI cat on. Nothing says it on the van." I'm like, "No, probably not." And truly, with that group that we had, probably not. He just looked like any other group of people. There was probably one guy that if you watched him for a while, you'd probably say, "Yeah, there's something wrong with him." But it was just one of the 6 people I had with us. But still that thought crept into his mind. Does everybody know that I'm crazy? Does everybody know where I live? And a lot of them, the thing I hear from many individuals is they feel that nobody understands. They don't understand what it's like to be them. And dealing with doctors is not always fun, but imagine if you have mental illness, you're going to be dealing with doctors on a quite regular basis for the rest of your life. Myself, if my leg is falling off, I'll go to a doctor, but I'd rather not go to a doctor. I avoid doctors. But, if you got mental illness, the doctors are going to be part of your life, whether they got a good bedside manner or not. And there's a lot of times lack of self-understanding or understanding of the world around you. A lot of our folks with some stage of MR, they look at the world around them and they don't understand a lot of it. And it's confusing. There's a lot of things that doesn't make a lot of sense. And the whole thing with self-understanding, a lot of them, they don't understand what's going on with themselves even. They know that they're taking meds, but they're not totally some of them, they're told why, but they don't quite understand it, really. They don't know why they're doing this, that. You got this guy that he comes out and says, "I don't have mental illness." "No, I don't have mental illness." mobile life. That's part of the reason they have a few personal possessions. They move a lot. We have folks that they move from facility to facility to facility, back to MHI, to the hospital, to, they live kind of a nomadic mobile life. It's kind of a thing that occasionally I will see or hear of an individual that we used to have here and there. And it's never where I knew they were last. They live a very mobile life. And there's a lack of belief in your potential. There's a sad reality of why mental illness, and this doesn't get talked about a lot, but a sad reality of the reason that mental illness rehabilitation does not get paid quite the same as physical illness rehabilitation is that society in general doesn't believe in the potential of them. There's, if one of us would have to go through some sort of rehabilitation, the idea is that, okay, we get rehabilitated, we go back to work, we go being a functional member of society. Part of the thing is the politicians and this stuff, they don't believe our folks, yeah, okay, we help them, but towards what end? And they don't, and unfortunately that gets communicated back to the person, and they have a hard time believing in their own potential. There's the medication side of this. There's always the question of, okay, I'm having problems now, when are these going to work? Some of our antidepressant medications, as most of you know, will take 4 to 6 weeks before they really start having a therapeutic effect. Again, some people don't have the self-realization of what's going on inside of them, so they wonder, why do I need them? They have to deal with all the side effects that goes along with medications. For some of them, they get facial hair, not bad if you're a guy, but if you're a woman, that's a little embarrassing. Dry mouth, wet mouth. Dry mouth, at least you can't see that on a person. They might be just chewing gum. Wet mouth, they're literally drooling. It's, it's pretty sad. A couple of people I've known that have been on medications that have had that problem, they've gotten into the habit that they just carry around a towel, and that's how they try to kind of mask it a little bit and try to, but some of them, they just get tired and they just have a problem. And they have problems with sleep too much, or they have insomnia. Have had individuals that they sleep more than they're awake. Medications are hard on a lot of the other organs, especially kidneys and livers. What is it? Somebody I just heard about the other day. They said they had this great medication for them. They felt so much better on it, but the doctors were afraid to give it to them because it was hard on their liver. It was very possible if they stayed on that medication for too long, their liver was going to basically rot out and they were going to die. So it's like, okay, they feel better, going to kill you. It's a catch-22, and with a lot of our medications, unfortunately, sensitive to sun. PRN issues. When I was coming up with these lists, I called on a bunch of individuals down in my office just to kind of look through and ask them if I missed anything. One of them that they brought up were PRN issues, where, if anybody doesn't know, a PRN is a medication that's taken as needed, usually for anxiety. Sometimes it's when people are dealing with anger a little bit more, usually that's tied to anxiety, and so they take those, but they have problems that they start seeking certain medications just because of certain effects on them. Some of them become dependent on the PRNs, which is always good. And the thing with a medication is, when you're taking that medication every single day, it's almost physical proof that there's a difference, there's something different between you and other people. It's right there in your hand. You have to take that to try to be normal. These other people don't. It's unfortunate. Relationships. A lot of our folks have strained family relationships. When we have a caring parent that comes in and takes out their son or daughter, it's like, yay! Because we don't see that a lot But we do see it occasionally, but we do not see it a lot. Unfortunately, we don't see it often enough, I don't think. Hard to maintain friendships. There's always mental illness factors within relationships. They have friends, but you know, if their friends are having problems with their mental illness, that's going to affect the relationship. It's going to affect friendships. And they start, you know, who are they really close to, or you know, are those people really stable? We touched on peer pressure earlier. Sex drive, making responsible choices. This is a problem for some of our individuals because they've never learned what responsible choices are. You know, a woman that used to live with us, I just was told the other day, she's all excited. She's getting married to a guy she met 2 months ago. You know, I'm like, yeah, there's some issues there. So, I don't, you know, I've gone on about this for a while, partly because I don't mean it to be depressing. A lot of our individuals, I'm always amazed, they're very resilient, they're very much survivors. They just like probably if a lot of us were put in those situations, they learn to adapt and in order to survive. So survival instincts do kick in. But for just a little while, I want you to just kind of picture all those issues that we just brought in there and figure out, okay, what if that was my life? Yeah, you know, you'd be begging for some sort of release. You'd be begging for some way of getting out of there for a little while. You'd be just, you know, it'd be difficult. By no means would it be easy. So, you know, what we can do is we try to understand them, and we try to let them have some enjoyment in life. We gotta find, even in the darkest hours and the hardest situations, you know, there are ways of finding sometimes humor. Sometimes you might say it's misplaced humor, but you can. We are as workers, we are in a unique position of setting the tone of the environment. We can come in, and if we're frustrated, if we're, you know, it's going to get reflected in them. They're going to like, you know, they're not going to be too happy either. You come in, hey, how you doing? Hi, I'm fine. How you doing? You know, they will be a reflection of your attitude a little bit. If you're hating life, it's not going to help them enjoy life. That's for certain. Not that you always have to be Barney, but you have to, you know, it's good to come in and try to be, set a positive tone in the environment. We are their teachers, we're their helpers, we're their stand-in therapists some days, protectors, advocators, and we provide all kinds of different services, but you know, a lot of times as staff, we are the show for them. We are a lot of these things. It is okay to help the individuals to have fun. I have gone through, this is the staff handbook. I have gone through this several times. It does say do not horseplay, but nowhere here does it outlaw fun. Fun is okay, as long as you're having fun in the right ways and you're being responsible and you're being, you know, safety and everything. But it is okay to have fun once in a while, really. We used to joke in our smoke lounge. They're like, is it the fun Nazis? No, it's not the fun Nazis. It's okay. It's okay to have a little fun right now. You know, and so we gotta identify their needs. What do they like? What do they enjoy? What is their history? A lot of the things in coming up with good recreation is knowing what the personal likes of the individuals are. Now that can be kind of challenging out in the facility because we have everybody from ages 18 to, I bet we probably have a couple of folks in the building that are over 80. We have a whole wide range of ages, a whole wide range of interests. All of them have different backgrounds, all of them have different histories. So we try to find a variety of things for them to do and see what interest piques who. you know, and sometimes things will surprise you a little bit. Usually, especially during the winters when it started finding outdoor activities and things of that nature, I'll bring in movies occasionally. You know, we'll watch them in our multi-purpose room. And just for a matter of interest, I thought, what the heck? I brought in the Beavis and Butthead movie. We had a couple old guys that never come down to any movies, never come down to any activities. They came down to that, and they laughed the whole way through. You know, it took me by surprise a little bit, but it was great. It really was. Do they like more group activities, or are they more of a person of a solitary nature? And really, kind of what makes them happy? Does anything make them happy? Surely, probably something will make them happy. Probably me falling over would make them happy occasionally, but you know, something will make them happy. Do they need help with expression or communication? That can be addressed here. Do they desire to participate in religious services or spiritual needs? That's another issue that, regardless of what your own personal feelings might be, it's good for us to be able to offer those types of options for them. Do they enjoy physical activities? We go out for walks a lot, you know, and sometimes, you know, sports and stuff. Mentally challenging activities, or you know, what's entertainment for them? We go a lot of sporting events because that tends to be very popular right now. Gets us over into this whole idea of happiness. Happiness is an interesting topic to study sometimes because, you know, we talk about anger management a lot, but we don't talk about happiness management a lot. For good reason. Usually when you're happy, you're not throwing things through windows. You know, just plain flat out. Usually bad things happen when we're not dealing with anger appropriately. But we don't look at happiness quite so much. And a lot of it's tied to personal perception. I think I got it on here. Anyone can be miserable if they really put their mind to it. And some folks are. You're not always gonna be able to reach. You can reach out to all of them. Doesn't mean you're always going to get a really good response back. You know, we've had. I can think of one gentleman right off the top of my head that he made Grumpy Dwarf look like Barney. Okay, this guy was so sour. He was so angry all the time. Didn't matter what was going on. And we still can, you know, how you doing? Okay, see you later. Okay, you know, occasionally he would take you by surprise because he would actually, you know, I did get him to smile a couple of times. You know, it was really rare, but it's kind of a thing that just because it doesn't always work doesn't mean you stop trying. You should still keep trying to reach out to them a little bit. As I said, we can still treat someone and try to make them happy. Try to enrich their life in some way, and probably, if with some persistence, you will be successful. I always, when we're doing anger management classes, I always talk about the fact that any situation. Two people can look at the exact same situation. One person will go, not a big deal. Well, we'll just kind of go on with it. Another person look at this exact same situation and get all upset and all angry and all upset. And some of it is how they perceive it. A lot of it is how we look at those particular situations. And, you know, if you take, shall we say, a more laid-back approach, sometimes it's good to just realize that the world is all full of different problems. What's the book? Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. It's a rather good book, actually. The back to kind of the standards a little bit. DIA actually qualifies anything that we do to get our individuals actively enjoying something as recreation. I had to take a class to get my certification, and I had to go watch this really horribly long video with very boring people with penciled in eyebrows. All about, they were DIA inspectors. And they were all talking about, okay, what is recreation? What does the standards mean? What are they looking for? And a lot of it, they look at as anything that it could be hair brushing. You know, if they're having fun getting their hair brushed, they will qualify it as recreation. If painting, you know, for the ladies, I guess for some of the guys too, painting fingernails is enjoyable for them, they will consider that recreation. Anything that we do that they will enjoy, they will consider as recreation. You know, as I said, the spectrum becomes rather wide as to what they consider recreation. Of course, we always try to encourage healthy choices how to structure their own time. Age appropriate. Age appropriate is something we talk about sometimes, but we never really get in depth a lot. It's one of those things that's out there. A lot of our industry has gone towards what is functioning be appropriate or what is behavior appropriate. Just because age is kind of a relative number, I guess. Well, it's a physical number, but how the person feels inside, what their mental functioning is, doesn't always match up exactly with their physical age. I think a lot of what this means, what the important thing is to not insult the intelligence of the individuals. Do not insult what they usually will enjoy. But that can be very different depending on the individual. I bring up Exhibit 1 here. Giant table basketball. And I ended up going through a bunch of our closets recently, and I was kind of decrapifying them. And I came across giant table basketball. Now, if I brought this to most of you and said, this is what we're going to do today, we're going to play giant table basketball, you'd probably say, Sean, get off the crack. It is not, you go, yeah, it says for preschool activity toy. You know, we'd all go, no, man, no. That doesn't mean there aren't individuals that this might be appropriate for. We have a few individuals that might enjoy that, but I have to realize that a lot of them aren't. And so this would not be a good, probably, mass activity for a lot of them. Probably not for a lot of them. You know, you don't want to necessarily insult the as I said, don't insult the intelligence of the individuals. It's age appropriate is kind of difficult because when I was when I was originally in college from '94 to '99, two big waves went through. First one, Elmo. Elmo was popular with college kids. I did understand it. To this day, I still don't understand it. But it's one of those things that you go, okay, not age appropriate, but they're in society. They can do whatever they want here. If that's what makes them happy, great. I'm not sure it's my cup of tea, but Elmo was a big thing. And then the other thing that was big when I was going through college was Beanie Babies. If anybody's here still have Beanie Babies, you don't have to raise your hands. But I'm like, I didn't get them. I had an ex-girlfriend whose mom got the Princess Di Bear. It was all aflutter and didn't understand why I wasn't. They got me. The only reason I get Beanie Babies, well, they also had like the tag protectors because they were sure they're going to be worth $10 million someday, and they put the tag protectors on there, and they're like, see, I got tag protectors on all of my thousands of couple billion, and so I buy Beanie Babies so I can take the tag and go They didn't find that humorous, but you know, I'm like, look, they come off. It's not gonna be worth anything. I know. But you know, it gets down to what we, age appropriate. We got 40-year-old, 50-year-old folks that are collecting beanie, even older. It's all different ages that are collecting beanie babies. So it really kind of goes into, okay, what is age appropriate? And I guess it does come down to what do they enjoy, and what is not going to be insulting to their intelligence. We had a rec coordinator for a while that every movie was like the Scooby-Doo movie. No, I'm not insulting the Scooby-Doo movie, and if you like the Scooby-Doo movie, great. But that's not probably the cup of tea for all of our individuals. Some of them, yes, not all of them. We got to respect the cognitive abilities of our individuals when deciding how to make these choices, and to figure out what's appropriate. It's good to have a variety of activities, taking into consideration the age range and genders of who you're working with. When I was getting my certification, in fact, the woman that was teaching the class said that I was only the second guy, male recreation coordinator she'd ever trained. Going, okay. And most of my class, they were all women, and they all kind of go, you gotta figure out stuff for men? Yeah, because there's some of them in your facilities as well, yes. So, you gotta be able to have stuff that's appropriate and stuff that's is going to appeal to a variety. Yeah, sports such as swimming, spiritual activities, Bible studies, things such as chess. Chess is a big thing over in Charlotte right now. We're still going to chess club, and we got some people that are winning and having a good time. Arts, getting out, painting stuff, music, dance, sculpting. We're going to have a dance later this summer, or actually later this month, that some of the individuals are kind of looking forward to now. And there's even some people, there are resting activities, watching TV, watching movies. We have a lot of video game players over there. And, just different types of entertainment and things like pet raising. I'm going to skip over some of this stuff a little bit, go quickly here, because it's good to get active. Things walking, swimming, Special Olympics, taking a group they're having a free swim party up in Macokota tonight. I've got a bunch of people that are going to be very anxious about that. Spiritual activities. Our responsibility, as I touched on earlier, is to kind of be a facilitator. Don't have to necessarily take part in ourselves. It's up to you and your own what you feel comfortable with. By no means am I going to say you have to take part of this in this religious service. No, you don't have to. But if the individuals want to themselves, it's good to facilitate that. This is all about supporting choice, growth, communication, and community participation, which all of us should recognize those words from where?
The mission statement.
Ooh, almost all together too. I couldn't have cued that better. The mission statement, yes, Community Care's mission statement. And this area, there a lot of people kind of go, oh yeah, it's Iowa. But there are a lot of different social and recreational opportunities that are in this area. Play provides social opportunities, helps improve relationships. If it can be relationships between individuals, it can be relationships between you and the individual. It's okay to sit down and play. If you're a chess player, play a game of chess with them occasionally. We had a woman that I was her primary, and she always played Yahtzee. So every time she was really all upset and everything, if you got out the Yahtzee game, she was a happy camper. So, these help in with cognitive skills, and these can be incorporated into a variety of participation. As I said, there is a euchre group over in Fulton, various pool tournaments that if you have individuals that really love pool and they're really good and they want to participate, great. Chess club in this area is if you live around Clinton, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 o'clock, Hy-Vee. Anybody can come and play chess, and they have all kinds of community members that come out and play. Arts are always good to give us a creative outlet. Our minds are set up not only as to be organized, and we figure out ways of working our organized mind, but it's also we have a creative side, and it's good to feed that creative side sometimes. Whether it's painting, drawing, or some kind of crafts. We've had some musicians in the building that like to sing, like to play instruments and do different things, dance. Entertainment, this is where we kind of come into our most common opportunities. Concerts, festivals, movies, shows. And then we have pictures of some of our lounges there. There's always going to be downtime, and it's good to teach the individuals how to structure that downtime. So, it doesn't have to necessarily just be TV, but some people like to read. We've had some people that like to read. Sometimes it's good to encourage reading. And then we have other activities. We have pets in the building. We have birds. We have individuals that like help taking care of birds. Cooking is an activity many of them like. A number of them have gotten into the habit now of going out and buying some of their own food on outings, so they could go into our training kitchen and make some stuff up themselves. Can be very fun and enjoyable. Gardening. Some folks actually, we had one guy that went out and got a whole bunch of watermelon seeds, and he asked if he could plant them in one area. I'm like, go for it, yeah. Been growing watermelons. All these are important towards our therapeutic goals still. It's not meant all just totally just fun. There is a therapeutic side to it. Goes back to, as I got mentioned here, Aristotle regarded leisure as essential to happiness. Many parts of research out there say that frequency of participation in activities are related to life satisfaction. They've actually done the clinical studies on this, so this isn't just totally just theory. There's been a lot of science behind it that shows that it does work. Also, it kind of goes. It tends to go the other way. There are plenty of studies that show that boredom has negative outcomes, which if you work in a facility for very, very long, you see it. You do see it when there is more downtime. They have a tendency of getting into a little more trouble, or they end up working on each other a little bit more. If you get them active and engaged, you will reduce anxiety. I don't care how you slice it. The more you get them engaged, more stuff you get going, different activities, you're going to improve a lot of issues. Anxiety definitely has bad negative effects physically and mentally on people. A lot of that anxiety ends up coming out in the form of aggression. A lot of times aggression is a matter of communication. They don't know how, they're having anxiety, they're having issues, they don't know how to communicate them. Anger ends up being their communication method. And so the more we can work with their anxiety, the more we can help them with their anxiety, the better they're going to be doing. And positive interaction and recreation will reduce these issues and make them more responsive towards our rehabilitative goals. We have educational goals, especially even on outings. We're still teaching them things like money management. A lot of times when we're shopping, I'll go with, especially a couple of them, especially if I know that they have more problems shopping, and I'll keep asking, okay, how much do you have in your cart now? And they know I'm talking about how much money is, and we work on rounding. It's like, okay, that with tax about $2. Okay, you got $2 in there, and about another $3, so that comes up to what? 5. Yes, okay. We kind of keep a running tally as far as what they got in their cart, so they start learning these types of skills. Proper interaction with people in society and social situations are things that we can teach and we can observe. We can give them a pat on the back, say, hey, you did a good job, or maybe asking them where they buy their shoes might have been a little different, not normal in most social situations. Concepts of normalization and getting away from institutionalization is a big thing as far as what we're teaching through some of these recreation outings. And the realization as far as natural consequences gets us back to the money thing. I can't necessarily make them buy something, but I can represent their choices. Okay, if you buy X, you won't be able to buy Y. If you don't decide, yes, cigarettes are really expensive, and if you decide not to buy them, you're going to run out. Are you going to like that? No. Well, you might want to go ahead and spend the money, if that's if that's, and they realize that there's some natural consequences there. They're going to run out. They don't necessarily like that very much, but that's not something that most of us aren't going to like very much. We all have these choices, and we spend money here, and we're broke, and we can't spend money there. That's part of living in the real world. And these also can be incentives to achieve other goals. We use the kind of the carrot and stick a little bit there. We encourage a lot of our folks to be able to, usually we're not asking a whole lot for them to do, but there are certain things that they have to get done throughout the day and behaviors we're expecting of them, that if they do those things, they're more likely they're going to go on outings. If they don't, we all play a role in this. Whether you are working directly with individuals or if you're a supervisor of people that are working with individuals, we all play a role in this. And it doesn't matter what department you're in. If you are somehow dealing with the individuals, you are interacting with them. So we all play a role in this. Granted, not all of us are taking outings or able to play games with them, but we all can engage people positively and help them have a better quality of life. And as always, I'd like to thank everybody for helping people. And through nature and nurture, I've been dealt difficult circumstances, as we talked about. And we should never forget that the shoe may someday be on the other foot, or it's just a matter of luck that it isn't on the other foot. If it wasn't a little different and of our own genetics, of our own upbringing, we very well might be the ones with a mental illness. They might be the ones taking care of us. The roles very well could be reversed. Think about that sometimes. It will help us work with our individuals better. Any questions, comments, recipes?
Piece, and that is as a sample. WM went to his room angry and came back saying his daddy called and is mad that WM did not get the cake. Two staff reminded WM he is on a special diet to keep him healthy, not to punish him. Later, WM again came out and apologized, saying staff was right, he should not have had the cake. WM got out a Mountain Dew, which he's not supposed to drink. He said it was the rest of the one he bought at work with his birthday money. Staff reminded WM he was not to have soda pop at home, and when he does go out to eat, he is only to have 1 calorie-free diet drink. WM did not drink that drink at the time. WM looked at his snacks and chose a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Progress toward meeting the goal, staff must be diligent, being sure WM does not eat unhealthy foods, but he is trying to get inappropriate foods less than a few months ago. Health, safety, medical concerns or comments, WM must not eat unhealthy foods or he will have gallbladder problems. Okay, what do you think of that one?
I can't tell them. I can't tell them.
Right, right. You redirect. Redirect, don't tell him that he cannot. Redirect, redirect, redirect. But also make sure the personal plan goal number is in there. There should be an NA down here for list of medical therapy or other appointments. And make sure you circle AM or PM. Next one will be the ongoing, or goal number 4, ongoing support. You guys have your section? Okay, what do we got here? Again, I know last name is marked out and there is